Hello, this is Stasia. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about Kundalini awakenings and life force management. I'm a little bit weepy today. I'm going to use that as the fuel for this talk today. And today is Thursday. The day I'm recording this is Jupiter's day. Jupiter rules Thursday. It's the expansive energy, and I'm, as you may know, very Sagittarian. I've got 4 planets and my North Node all sitting in Jupiter. My sun's at the galactic center, if you're familiar with astrology, all in the 7th house of partnership and relationship and diplomacy. And here I am, as best I can, being the diplomat for the galaxy, for the universe on some of these matters. So I hope that you will forgive my blunders and my humanness as I do my best to transmit in the way that I'm felt directed by Spirit to do. So today's talk is about when things don't go right. When things don't go right, why? Like when things really go wrong, when you try to do something good and it doesn't work out. Let's talk about that. And I want to relate this to one of the modalities that I use because I think that this is a really good example. So I'm a trained emotion code practitioner, and I've expanded that into the body code. So the body code work is muscle testing, tuning into your body, your field, and asking it to tell what's going on so that we can move stuff and clear stuff and open up channel for life force and greater expression. Okay. But there's a limit to some of these modalities because you can't just clear a perfect pathway for yourself to evolve in. Like certain things happen that are pivotal and that are important for your evolution. They are stepping stones for the you that you're becoming. So when I look at stuff like this, and I have an example, my dad's in the hospital right now, and I did some body code on him before we took him in, and the body code did not detect at all what was going on with him. And so this is the reason for this video, because I've really been struggling with that as a practitioner. I'm really struggling with it, and this is the answer that came to me. Okay, and I do have a lot of optimism, as a lot of Sagittarian and Jupiter energy does. And of course, part of me is worried because the situation is serious. But I also know that divine spirit can use very traumatic and sometimes difficult situations for massive leaps in our consciousness. Huge transformations can occur through pivotal, difficult moments that if you could just find him and detect him all the time and move him out of the way and just stay on an easy path, you wouldn't have the same experience. So I look at body code and emotion code and a lot of the work that I do as companion modalities, as techniques to support what is, let's be honest, a difficult transformation journey of a Kundalini awakening, and that includes all aspects of the maturation process of human, which aging is often a part of. And I have a whole video on aging, and everyone seems to love that video. And we are in a paradigm shift around aging because we are, with new awareness, watching the older generation and how they've chosen to age. And we're recognizing that there's different avenues that can be taken in our consciousness to maybe avoid or avert or elongate our journey possibly, and to regenerate our bodies earlier, and to, do certain things to sustain ourselves, as we're also looking at sustainable living and sustainable farming and all this stuff. So, but having the future or the previous generation age, like we couldn't just avert that part of the human evolutionary process, because then we wouldn't see what was happening and make a conscious choice to do something different for us to maybe avoid certain outcomes. Not to say that we always can. But my voice today wants to speak to the fact that certain events that we'd like to avoid, that are the most challenging and the most difficult ones, are perhaps the most pivotal in our transformation journey. And that's why sometimes these are referred to as dark nights. The night is always the darkest before the dawn. The death has to fully occur before the resurrection, before the rebirth. Death does not always have to be a physical thing. Death is often the death of the old paradigm, the old way of living and looking at life. And we say that lightly, oh, we have to die to the old and reborn, but just like a physical death, a spiritual death, an emotional death, a personality death, you know, the transformations that Pluto stands at the helm of and has just turned retrograde today. Well, it's just squaring Venus, the ones that we love, is reviewing and going backwards now. So there is this guardian, and my dad does have Pluto in his first house. So if you know about astrology, here we have this very person being confronted by Lord of Death. And he's hanging in there. So thank you for well wishes. If I'm sure that I will receive some, so I'm just thanking you ahead of time. You're a very beautiful audience, people. Thank you. But the death process is hard, right? It's often ugly. It's a death process, and you and I go through many of these, right? Going to sleep is a mini death, and maybe that's not as hard as other deaths, though sometimes going to sleep can be hard. But when we have to die, say in a relationship, we have to die to the relationship, it's traumatic, it's difficult, it's hard, it hurts. There's often like many tears and even destructive energy to break it and rip it and tear it down and allow the space for something new to come in, right? If you want to tear down a house and make a new one, the death of that house is pretty gruesome. Like you're crushing it, there's boards everywhere, like wires, like anything, like liquid of all kinds, like it just looks like a big trash heap, right? It's very destructive, and it can be painful to watch, especially if you lived there or that was your space, or it's in your neighborhood. You're like, oh, it's such an eyesore. Well, the death of that house is going on, or anything that goes through this deep transformation, like that is the fodder, that's the food and the fuel for the transformative energy. That's what allows the rebirth to even be possible. Because you can't rebirth something if something else is still living there. Like ponder that for a moment. Like if you're really tied to your belief structure, it's going to be very hard to get another belief structure in there. Like this one has to die. It has to crumble. And it has to be beat down. It has to be betrayed. So these crucial moments in our transformation, we cannot clear them away with a technique. We can soften the effects. We can prepare ourselves. We can buffer. We can use them to recover. We can tear away superfluous so that we're not dealing with all the cloudy, foggy stuff that isn't really the meat and potatoes of the transformation itself. So that's what all these modalities are for. They're not a cure-all. They're not a like sweep your way through this transformation without any problems. They are like your best friends sitting there helping you get through it. I'm Venus in Aquarius. I love humanity. And I'm Venus in Aquarius in the 9th house. I love humanity through the hardest journeys, the longest seeking journeys of your life. Like I'm your best friend. Like that's what I do. My best time is in a time of change and a time of transformation. Even though like, it's hard because I feel it all, y'all. I feel it. And I'm feeling my dad right now, and my mom just went through surgery too. And it's really calling up the family, it's calling up the siblings, it's calling us up. As life will call up the people around you, and it will call up the faculties in you when you have to go through a death process, a transformation, a dark night. It's calling you up. And it's easier if you have support than doing it alone. It's also easier if you can let go of the thing you're holding on so badly to that you don't want to go. Like, I'm realizing, like, this experience could change my dad forever. Like, it could take my dad, it could change him forever. But it could also be a huge awakening experience for him, you know. I'll just tell a little story because it's pertinent, but 2018, he had heart surgery. And, you know, this is kind of personal to me, but I think it's good to share some of these things sometimes. Before that, my dad was, you know, closed to a lot of the things that I have studied in my life because of his religious anchoring. And I chose to go a different way. I chose to seek and study long and far and deep and find answers that I hadn't found going his way. And so there was always this wall between us. And after that heart surgery, that wall came down. And his heart opened. And even all the way up to this recent thing, which I'm not going to get into details right now, but please just send your prayers. His heart has become very tender, which happens in a heart chakra opening. And so I told him recently, Dad, your heart chakra is open. That's what that feels like. And my dad, being very, like, in his mind, just looks at me and nods. But I say this because that was a pivotal moment for him. It was a pivotal moment. A heart surgery was profound. We almost lost him then too. And he came back a changed man. He's been a very different man since that day. And he's loved me. And he's told me that everything that I am is beautiful. And, you know, I like learned to love myself anyway and validate myself anyway, but there was something so sweet about his heart opening, really, physically and energetically. So I share these heart moments because I know that some of you watching are going through some hard things, or you'd like to avoid them. Or you go to someone for a session, someone maybe like me or somebody else, and you still have a terrible time. You still have the breakup, or you still have the health problem, and then you decide it didn't work. But the spiritual impression behind that, the kundalini at work, the maturation process that's at work behind all of that, is that you needed that hard thing. You needed that experience to evolve you, to transform you, to help you to grow up, to bring out gifts in you. And if you didn't bring out the gifts, well, that's what you need the coach for. That's what you need the healer or the guide for, is to assist you in making the most of this transformation, being your best self through it, changing your paradigm to see life in a new way. And that's what I'm committed to doing for humanity, is assisting in the changes, in the hard times, to help you see it the best way. I mean, this could be a really big awakening experience. Maybe my dad is in the space he's in now because he is contacting higher beings, like the way that I have in different ways in my life. Like that's my Neptunian wish here at the end of Pisces. That at the end, and remember, like Neptune and Pisces, they rule our spiritual self. They're our deepest self. It's the God love. And right there hanging at the end of the zodiac, ruler of Pisces, just before coming into a brand new cycle. There's a lot of like deaths energies going on, a spiritual awakenings going on. But we sometimes have to navigate a difficult transformation, a difficult thing that mixes things up and makes everybody have to behave differently. Everybody has to do things differently when this happens. And that is a gift. That alone is a gift. So munch on that on this day, Jupiter. Let your heart expand, your mind expand to what is possible with what's going on in your life right now. Allow the Kundalini to do the work in your life. And even if it's not fun, try to see the expansion medicine in it. Okay, as with everything in all my videos, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. If you liked it, like it, share it, subscribe. I'm here 6 days a week sharing with you on these matters. I'm trying to align now with the planetary vibes each day so that we can understand that information too in a fun way. So I'm Stasia. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Appreciate you for being here. I love you. I support you in your process. If you like private session, I do leave all that data down below. If you feel like you want to just donate to this channel because you think that's a good place to tithe, I always think tithing should be toward that which spiritually fulfills us so that we receive more of that. But or send your tithe somewhere else, it's fine too. But some people have asked me, so I've put it down below. I'm not like trying to be a beggar, but you know, I have a family too. Okay, but I'm here for you and I love you and I'll see you next time.